stories broke
of the president's party today defending the Russia investigation and special counsel Robert Mueller, who healed from Republican charges of bias.
I think it would be very difficult for anybody to find somebody better qualified for this job. Director has throughout his lifetime been a with the president, but I can tell he has communicated to me a desire to remove Robert Mueller.
Are you afraid of President Trump firing you?
No, I'm not, Congressman.
Rosenstein also dismissed any idea pledges loyalty, something former FBI Director James Comey suggested Trump had
unbiased and will give President Trump a fair shake.
And Republican members pointed to newly Trump text messages between two employees at the FBI. Agent Peter Strzok, who helped lead the Clinton email server investigation, and Lisa Page. The two exchanged hundreds of texts throughout to immediately appoint counsel.
If we believe there was a basis for counsel, I can assure you that we would act.
Under questioning by Democrats, Rosenstein pointed out that Mueller was appointed FBI director by both Republican and Democratic presidents.
Political views, but ensuring that those views are not in any way a factor in how they conduct themselves in office.
But defense did not placate Republicans. Two Republican in the Senate, John Cornyn, he's calling for Robert Mueller to clean house of people on
comes from us and through us. To where people come before, so the public can understand.
So why is he just answering questions from staff members? committee, and no members like you are even allowed to listen in.
I don't agree with that process at all. They know how hard.
Once again, is client privilege to prevent any discussion of his private conversations with his father.
I would think. That if he's invoking his with the House, that we wouldn't take that long, because our side
see evidence of indirect collusion, let's say?
Well, when you look at maybe Manafort's, okay, let's see where Paul Manafort has gone with this.
The former campaign.
Right, and did he do it for financial gains? Michael Flynn,
The former national security
absolutely.
advisor.
So when the director, who I think is a fine, absolutely upstanding, fine individual, he behind closed doors answered every question. We find that has been revealed yesterday that he, over the years, has contributed up to $39,000 over the period of time. I don't know if that.
A second special counsel appointed to investigate all, including Mueller.
This is what makes America sick. This is really what makes America sick. Washington is sick with all of us up here, thinking that we can't get out of our own way politically to do the right thing. When you have a good man like Robert Mueller, there's not a better person.
What does that mean?
That means that I think there will be an uprising from both parties, knowing this is a good man. Taking a good man out, you must be taken out for political reasons, not for the law or the letter of the law, as we, you know. We rule each other and we live by that.
Let out your inner child at the Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Lease the 2017 IS Turbo for $299 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
How do you see the world? At Shriners Hospitals for Children, how you see things can turn them into everyday miracles. Like riding my bike.
People like you.
When you visit loveshriners.org and give just 63 cents a day, you're showing that you care.
Will you join us in helping children in need?
When you call today, we will send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of how you are helping a kid like me. Only 60%.
Give an everyday miracle
to a kid like me. Like me. And me.
And me.
And me. And
because of you, we see miracles like these happen every day.
Your gift can change.
because everybody everyone is a miracle.
The 28th. Starting at just $37,995. SUV. At only $41,995. Thompson always gives you more. Pickup and delivery for service. Free car wash and vacuum. Experience the Thompson difference at Thompson.
Start with you, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner. We just heard from Senator Manchin. They both want him to come back and answer questions not just from the staff, but from members themselves. What is that?
Well, look, as you'd been talking about earlier with the senator and with Manu, I mean, he'd been in there. And from the Post and what have you, and it all obviously goes back to meeting at Trump Tower with the Russian lawyer, and every day it seemed a new story would come out. Follow up with his version of it, and yet it was sort of a piecemeal reaction.
Place that has not yet splintered along party lines in this investigation. I mean, the House Intelligence Committee process is kind of a shambles of partisan conflict. The Senate Judiciary Committee has also been, you know, which historically a less partisan place, been splintering as well between Senator Feinstein and Senator Grassley. The Intelligence Committee will be the basis of increased tension between Democrats and Republicans if it's not resolved.
Abby, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, sometimes staff has the knowledge base that's a little bit deeper than their bosses because they're there studying the material. But I think one of the things about Don Jr. is family was so to the campaign. He had a lot of power and a lot of leeway, which was very unusual for political campaigns. And secondarily, this meeting that is of great interest to dealt with a person who was a contact of Don Jr.'s through the Trump business. So there are
was that you know, just because you have a partisan preference doesn't mean you're necessarily biased, and so that's going to be a key looking at some of these text messages. But also he defended Mueller as the perfect choice as special counsel, really puncturing the Republican narrative that has been trying to build that hack on a witch hunt.
You know, I think we're headed for a big Republican split over this because the dominant view in the party has been, and I still think the majority view is that, especially given everything else that's going on that we've seen in New Jersey and Virginia and Alabama, for Donald Trump to fire Robert Mueller before the midterm election would be the ingredients for a catastrophe. This drumbeat that you know that we're talking about, Rex is talking about, is getting louder from Fox and talk radio, and now joined by a number of House Republicans, basically saying this is an unfair investigation, it's an existential threat, you have to get rid of it. I think that's going to come to a head because whether they realize that they're giving the president more space to consider something that most Republicans still believe would be catastrophic to the party.
Although it seems like perhaps the way out for some Republicans is this idea of a counter special counsel to investigate some of these other claims. And honestly, it seems like that is about giving the president something to hold from firing Mueller. You know,
and beyond the anti-Trump texts certainly is giving some ammunition to the president himself, who's been very critical of the FBI.
Though even Rosenstein today said that Mueller, his actions fell in line with the protocol. He had that investigator moved over to the, especially in terms of the FBI. I remember before the election, there had been a lot of concern about FBI agents being anti-Hillary Clinton. There had been reports that Rudy Giuliani had been given information from FBI contacts here in New York, and that Jim Comey, the FBI as well. So this goes back to your earlier conversation with the panel, that different people, different members of the FBI have their own and so you're going to have one camp that maybe personally supported Hillary Clinton, the other camp that personally supported Donald Trump. And I think you saw Rosenstein say today they're entitled to that.
Exclusive offers during the Ford year-end sales event.
Fries for $3.16, please. Thank you.
David, what's going on?
Oh, hey.
That's it?
Yeah. Everybody, 2 seconds. Dear Sebastian, after careful consideration of your application,
America's best first job.
Six-year-old Ella is traumatized. As she outside her home, a bomb exploded. She is not vulnerable children. Please call now and give just $21 a month to let them know someone will be there for them. When people have lost everything, when they have been forced to flee, when work, children need us today, and we need your support today to keep children alive. Give them something healthy to eat. Keep them safe. Night, vulnerable, lost children. Please call right away and give $21 a month to help people who have lost everything. Thank you.
Are almost here, and Steinmart is celebrating with its big countdown sale. You bring a gift list. We'll bring.
I wanted him to eat healthy, so I feed Jake Purina Cat Chow Naturals Indoor, a nutritious formula with no artificial flavors, made specifically for indoor cats. Purina Cat Chow, nutrition to build better lives.
Good evening, I'm Andy Cohen. What are you doing? Co-anchoring the news. Actually, my co. See, get out of my chair. New Year.
With Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, only on CNN.
Are you not wearing pants?
Sexual harassment. Illegal. Hi, I'm Eric Shore. If you're fired because of sexual harassment, call us at 1-800-CAN'T-WORK. You get fired, we get fired.
America's best-selling brand. Now lease a 2018 F-150 for just $269 a month, or get $9,000 in total savings during the Ford year-end sales event at your local Ford store.
Sexual harassment at work is illegal. Hi, I'm Eric Shore. If you're fired because of
trusted name in news.
We're following the breaking news, including a congratulatory phone call by President Trump to the Democrat who defeated Roy Moore in Alabama's special election. The Senator-elect Doug Jones says the president was gracious and invited, despite what's widely seen as a very damaging loss for the president, who bucked many fellow Republicans by backing Moore and Ron. I want to play for you some clips, Republicans reacting to the Alabama Senate results last night. Listen.
I'm really, really happy with what happened for all of us.
Alabamans didn't want to.
I think President Trump had it right. Steve Bannon did not have it right.
Roy Moore lost because of who Roy Moore was in his campaign, not because he was president of the United States.
The most important factor in any election is the quality of the candidates.
I think clearly we had a flawed candidate.
Contrary to what those senators are saying is that every Republican, whether they like it or not, is on the ballot with President Trump. If you look at what happened in Alabama and how Doug Jones won, it was very similar to the coalitions that powered the Democratic victories in New Jersey and Virginia. Three central components: big turnout and huge margins among African Americans, among younger voters, over 60%, even in Alabama, and a sharp movement toward the Democrats among white-collar whites in those, suburban affluent counties like Madison, Shelby County, the counties with Auburn, Alabama. What do all of those groups have in common? They are all groups deeply antagonized from Donald Trump, who give him very low approval.
%8 of black women who voted for Doug Jones.
Yeah, I mean, black women really showing up for the Democratic Party. I think there are two things for Democrats here in this race. In addition to everything just said, the idea that the Democratic base is energized and engaged, maybe hadn't really come out for their vote as much as they would have liked him to. They voted against Trump by and large and against a candidate that they believed would hurt them. And secondarily, I think Democrats are learning that there might be a path in the South, especially in the parts of the South where there are a lot of African American voters in some of these southern states that could have real electoral power in targeted races if the energy is there, if there's an effort put behind it.
First time in 25 years that a Democrat has been elected to the U.S. Senate from Alabama.
Trump won it by 590,000 votes a year ago.
Yeah.
Enormous. And to your point, Abby, Moore's margins were very big in these rural areas. He did not get the turnout that the Democrats got. And there's a reality. Blue-collar white turnout does fall in off-year elections, and the Republican Party under Donald Trump is increasingly dependent on those voters.
Bianna, the Republican leadership this tax bill before Doug Jones is sworn in as the U.S. Senator. They have a 52-48 margin right now. In January, once he's sworn in, it'll be 51-49.
Yeah, well, if the president could get it on his desk tonight, it would be on his desk. I mean, I think this raises a lot of questions about priorities, if any, will be implemented and can be voted in next year. You've got a one-vote majority compared to a two-vote majority. Look at what was accomplished this year. Tax reform, the president's hoping for, is the one big thing that he's going to be able to get done this year. He had a variety of other issues he wanted to address, from infrastructure. I think it's going to be that much harder because you're giving a lot more weight now to those more independent Republicans, the Collins, the McCains, who don't always vote in line with the party. You've got one vote down from two in a majority. It didn't get the president very far this year. He's hoping for one win, but of course this administration going into next year.
It certainly is. So what does it mean, Rebecca, for Steve Bannon's war on the Republican establishment?
It's a setback, Wolf. It's a big setback because he was hoping to send a message to McConnell, to Washington Republicans, that he could win these elections against them, against their lost in a larger war. A person close to Bannon told me that the war inside the Republican Party is only going to get more vicious and bloodier, so they are expecting bigger battles to come in 2018. And there are some key Senate races where there are going to be messy primaries between Bannon-endorsed candidates and either incumbents.
Those are declining groups, broadly speaking, and they are facing in return a significant backlash among younger voters, diverse voters, urban voters, and white-collar voters. share of the electorate.
All right, everybody stand by. There's more breaking news we're following. We'll resume our coverage.
Shrimp and apple pie.
Dad likes pecan.
Oh, well, in that case, I can.
Love to drive? Visit your Infiniti retailer for leases starting at $289 a month during the Start Your Own Legacy winter sales event. Infiniti, empower the drive.
Eras. They're defined by accomplishments, by victories. Those with the resourcefulness, the ingenuity, and the grit to help ensure the next energy for our dreams.
It's hard to reach places. You and Bravajet from iRobot. Better together.
It's date night and, nothing fits. You're just bloated from gas. I can... Oh, you feel it. Take GasX, the #1 gas relief brand. It relieves pressure and fast, so you can wear whatever you want.
And more droids should too. When it really matters, you need the best network and the best unlimited in the galaxy. See Star Wars The Last Jedi in theaters December 15th.
QuickBooks introduces Jeanette and her new mobile wedding business. At first, getting paid was tough until she got QuickBooks. Now she sends invoices.
On your Peloton. Give it your best morning, noon, or night. Give it up for New York's best instructors live. Give them something to see. Give yourself 1,000 other riders to push you to the top. Give them the one thing that will make them give it all. Holiday. Give the gift of Peloton.
Only Invisalign clear aligners are made with Smart Track material to precisely move your teeth to your best smile. See how Invisalign treatment can shape your smile up to 50% faster today at Invisalign.com.
Wait, just in time for the holidays.
Check out this limited time offer from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed. Order now and get Lean 13 with specially selected meals. Plus 1 week of NutriCrush bars and 1 week of Turbo Shakes. Free. Be one of the first callers or visit Nutrisystem.com. Claim your $80 off uniquely yours.
Call or click right now.
Go to Nutrisystem.com/holiday and get Lean 13 with bars and shakes free and save $80.
Next, crushing defeat. What does Roy Moore's loss mean for President Trump's agenda and the GOP? Plus, the Democrats' fight to win back the...
When the world cries.
They've been holding hostages in their houses, using them as human shields.
When it erupts.
This is Britain's 4th terror attack in as many months.
Or holds its breath.
How does the U.S. de-escalate against Kim Jong-un?
Our journalists will be there, helping you grasp the world. And all its many emotions.
Meet Jake. Jake teaches 5th grade, and he wants a vehicle at the head of its class. Meet Anthony. He's a well-educated sales pro at John Kennedy Subaru. So Jake met with Anthony. A 2018 Subaru Forester 2.5i. During the Subaru Share the Love event. Now Jake's new ride passes with flying colors. John Kennedy Subaru, Enjoy your ride.
CNN Heroes on All-Star Tribute, live.
Between the warring factions is growing. Our senior international correspondent, Clarissa Ward, she's now in London, but she has an exclusive report on her visit. You just returned, Clarissa, from Yemen. Tell our viewers.
Well, Wolf, I should start out by saying that it took in 6 months to see why it is a country that has been torn in two, with a healthcare system and a state that is on the brink of collapse. Take a look.
Yemen is unraveling. In the north, airstrikes pound Iran-backed rebel strongholds. Recent targets the presidential palace in the capital, Sana'a. In the south, the streets are run by a patchwork of militias, though it's unclear who is actually in control. Oil to their sponsors in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Others all vying for control of Aden's port and precious oil resources.
Life here is dangerous and chaotic, but surprisingly, bombs and the bullets that are killing people. It's the humanitarian crisis that is growing.
Al-Qaeda graffiti still daubs the walls. Inside, the situation is hardly better. The hospital is in desperate need of everything from ventilators to basic antibiotics.
This is more serious condition.
He started working here 24 years ago.
Fever with difficulty in breathing. This is the worst situation now. It is aggravated now.
Because of the war?
Because of the war, yes. We are trying. Our doctors trying, but this is our possibilities. This is what is in our hand.
Has been sick with a serious lung infection for weeks.
When did you come to the hospital?
His mother, Yamal, only brought him to the hospital 3 days ago. She says the journey from her village was too far and too expensive. Life is hard since the outside world. On this day, he's visiting the neonatal ward.
Is the soap?
No.
There is no soap, just bottled water.
So in addition to be preemie, these babies are right.
The newborns have to share an incubator, increasing their risk of infection. Doctors and nurses are also in short supply, leaving mothers to step in and lend a hand.
At this point in time, I'm not just impressed, I'm awe-inspired by them. This is a passion for them. Doctors that person these hospitals, those are the real heroes.
Heroes are more than determination and resilience.
What? I am a mom, I have 3 kids. But this is what's in our hand. This is our facilities. And we are daily speaking. But no one heard us.
A cry for help. But for Khadr, it is too late. The day after our visit. Another death that could have been prevented in Yemen's forgotten war.
And as if, Wolf, the healthcare system isn't stretched enough, on top of this, Yemen is all grappling with the worst cholera outbreak that people had really thought were relegated to the history books are making a big comeback in this devastating landscape, Wolf.
Clarissa, what an amazing and heartbreaking report. Is there any expectation that aid will start to get in anytime soon?
There's so little political process, so little political progress, rather, on the diplomatic front. And it's important for our viewers to understand this isn't really just a civil war. This is a proxy war. This is about a rift between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And as long as that sectarian chasm exists between superpowers, it is very difficult to see how aid can get in, how those people can get that aid that they so desperately need, Wolf.
And it's obvious and very clear to all of us that that rift between Saudi Arabia and Iran is not going away anytime soon at all. Clarissa. That exclusive report, a really powerful report, excellent reporting for us. Thanks very much for doing that. That's it for me. Thanks very much. I'm Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. Aaron Burnett out front starts right now.
Out front, reason to fire Bob Mueller. Could Trump do it anyway? And drama at the White House. Former Apprentice star Omarosa is out, and the Secret Service is now weighing in itself. Let's go out front. Good evening, I'm Jim. Out front tonight, the blame game. Republicans scrambling in the wake of Roy Moore's devastating defeat for Alabama's Senate seat are now pointing fingers at each other. A top target, Steve Bannon, who campaigned relentlessly for Moore and played a key role in convincing Trump to back an
stage.
But the Bannon defenders have sent McConnell in their sights. Fox News host Sean Hannity tweeting, quote, McConnell deserves a lot of the blame for Alabama. Mo Brooks would have won by 20% of the vote, and McConnell interference hurt badly. Inside the White House, endorse Moore, but he failed to talk of the toxic endorsement. No leadership. He doesn't have said. Let's be clear, though. The buck stops with the president. It was Trump who went all in for Moore in the last crucial weeks of the campaign. And despite the extremely troubling and then in the hours before voters went to the polls, Trump's robocall.
Hi, this is President Donald Trump, and I need Alabama to go vote for Roy Moore. We're already making America great again. Safer and stronger and better than ever before. But we need that seat. We need Roy voting for us.
To be clear, there is no evidence that anyone forced President Trump to hold that rally or record that robocall. Multiple messages of support for Roy Moore, and yet Luther Strange, and his numbers went up mightily, is that I said Roy Moore will not be able to win the general election. I was right! Exclamation point. Roy worked hard, but the deck was stacked against him. Jeff Zeleny is out front tonight at the White House. Jeff, the blame game there getting even more vicious tonight.
Jim, there's no is in full force. They're finger pointing all around here, a bit of a circular firing squad, if you will. But there's no doubt that if you simplify all of it, it really gets down to two people. We talked to many Republicans throughout the day here. The reason that President Trump got behind Roy Moore so, in a full-throated manner, really, Steve Bannon. He said that Steve Bannon, he saw him go down there. They had conversations about this, and Steve Bannon thought that Roy Moore could win. Steve Bannon was interested in picking this fight with Mitch McConnell, of course. So, in a sense, he had a different objective than the president. But there was no question tonight at the White House and on Capitol Hill will flip in some respect in terms of recruiting candidates, because the president also tweeted today that strong candidates win elections. Roy Moore was not a strong candidate. But at the end of the day here, there is a sense of lemonade being made here, Jim, because the president reached out to Doug Jones in a phone call this afternoon shortly. We'll see if hasn't happened lately. We'll see if bipartisanship happens. I wouldn't count on it. Jim?
Yeah, maybe not, especially since they're trying to squeeze in that tax vote.
His early tweets was that Moore had the deck stacked against him. And of course, the president had a lot to do with it. As Jeff was pointing out, he completely endorsed Roy Moore. He took the advice of Steve Bannon. And he may actually have helped this race tighten. Forget, even in the state of Alabama, which he won by a 2-to-1 margin, the president's approval-disapproval rating is about a tie, under 50% or so. And you had a huge turnout in this state for this kind of election, 40% turnout. And women, suburban women.
No question. And there was evidence in a bluer state, or at least a swing state, Virginia as well.
Yep.
Mark, regardless of the case, the president might say is somewhat of a confusing case because he gave a lot of different excuses today via Twitter and other statements. Does this
loses to Moore. Moore goes on to lose last night. Is that when it got to the point of backing Judge Moore, who had numerous allegations lodged against him from women who said that he dated them when they were teenagers or that he sexually assaulted them, the Republican establishment, from the Republican congressional leaders, and endorsed Judge Moore. I think that is very, very hurtful now for Republicans heading into 2018. I got to tell you this, Jim. The only thing that happened that was good for Republicans in the last 24 hours is that Judge Moore lost. Because could you imagine
the Senate chambers? April, when you look at Trump's track record with who he's backed in races just in the last couple of months, let's look at the list. He backed Ed Gillespie in Virginia. That didn't work out so well. Of course, he backed Luther Strange first in the primary in Alabama. Then Roy Moore lost on both. Trump's support was a big factor in his loss. That is a Republican candidate for governor in Virginia saying that the president's endorsement actually hurt him. I mean, can you argue that the president's becoming more of a liability than an asset for GOP?
Yes, that's the by the fact that Ed Gillespie, who was once in the once the head of the RNC the candidates that the president backed for Alabama, a sitting president is supposed
that an unpopular and arguably very divisive president weighs down candidates in his own party.
Sure he does. But, you know, I mean, if you look in a state like Alabama, where his approval rating is just below 50%, that's higher than the national. So you would have thought that in Alabama, it might have had more weight. The problem in Alabama also was the candidate. Let's not forget. Roy Moore was a bad candidate with a bad history, and the president supported him down that road with him. I mean, you know, the Republican National Committee went along with it. And, you know, I think now the fight is going to be on in this Republican Party over who's going to control the future. Is it going to be Steve Bannon and Donald Trump, who sided with him, or is it going
Talking today about the fight is going to continue to be vicious here. I wonder, can a divided, really more than a divided, but an internally competitive and internally angry, combative Republican Party, can it win in 2018 and 2020?
Well, it all depends where you think they can win. I think the House of Representatives of going Republican. You know, Jim, until last night, there was very little talk that Republicans could potentially take back the United States Senate. But there's a little sliver of hope now for point. Heading into 2020, I can't imagine that President Trump is not a real primary right now. To your point, to Gloria's point.
Tonight, there was some drama inside the White House last night. The White House announcing today that Omarosa, former contestant, of course, on The Apprentice, now was an aide to the president, leaving the administration. You have some new reporting on this.
Yeah, we found out the trigger. The trigger was that is where everything blew up. Apparently, she said, if I don't have full access, meaning walk-in privileges in the Oval Office to be able to go in and out of meetings as at will or as she wants, there will be all hell will break loose. And he said, okay, all hell is going to break loose. And sources are saying it happened. It started in one of the two Christmas parties at the White House last night, and it continued on. But there's also new reporting. The White House did reach out to me. The only thing that they had a complaint about was the fact that one of the sources said that in Omarosa's aide, the assistant that they were talking about allegedly 3 months ago, the other Secret Service has come out saying that they were not involved in escorting Manigault out of the White House. So who did? And also they said they deal with the deactivation. They deactivated
anyway. a tax plan before Doug Jones takes his Senate seat. The new tax deal making the rich even richer.
Aaron Burnett Out Front, brought to you by Wells Fargo. Suspicious card activity alerts is just
See? Oh, come on. Hello? Wells Fargo. I did not make that purchase. I didn't do it! I'm so glad you caught that.
Oh, Mike. Hey. It's quite the snowman you got there.
Yeah, it was quite the sale. I saved big. You?
Saved. And mine lights up, too.
Let it pro, let it pro, let it pro with a brand new GMC. Upgrade to GMC with 15% below MSRP on the full range of 2017 Denali models. That's over $9,300 below MSRP on a GMC or professional grade GMC.
When you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis, the unpredictability of a flare may weigh on your mind. Thinking about what to avoid, where to go, and how to work around your UC. That's how I thought it had to be. But then I talked to my doctor about Humira and learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when certain medications haven't worked well enough.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems. Or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Raise your expectations and ask your gastroenterologist if Humira may be right for you. With Humira, control is possible.
Here's the story of Green Mountain Sumatra Reserve. Let's go to Sumatra. The coffee here is amazing because the volcanic farmers like Vin more plants to grow more delicious coffee, which helps provide for Vin's family. All for
This is a power plant. This is Tim Barkholz.
That's me.
This is something he's researching at ExxonMobil, using fuel cells to capture carbon emissions at power plants.
This is the potential.
Reducing CO2 emissions by up to 90%, while also producing more power.
Card lets you experience it like the Platinum Card. Backed by the service and security of American Express.
When you have a cold, stuff happens. Shut down cold symptoms fast. Strength Alka-Seltzer Plus liquid gels.
New tonight, Roy Moore refusing to concede despite his stunning loss in Alabama's special election against Doug Jones. Moore not ready to congratulate Jones on his win, even though he lost by nearly 21,000 votes. That is 1.5%. With this message.
Do the right thing, Roy. It's time that we heal. You know, it's time that we get together.
Out front, Margaret Hoover. She is former George W. Bush White House staff and veteran of 2 presidential campaigns. And Amy Kramer. She is co-chair for Women for Trump, and she
with the campaign. And earlier today, we called on him to concede the race. We think it's time to put this behind us and move on. I think that everyone else has. People of Alabama and the rest of the country are ready to do so. So we do think he should concede.
Margaret, I want to go to the broader implications against Moore. Certainly hurt Moore when it came to women. Look at some of these numbers here. Women with children made up 1 in 5 voters in Alabama, and Jones had 66 of their vote to Moore's 32%. That's 2-1. And when you look at how black women voted, it just overwhelming. 98% voted for Jones. Or fact is, beyond this race, if you look at Virginia, the numbers in suburban women voters for the Democrat over the Republican there, in your view, is a Republican President Trump irreparably damaged when it comes to women voters?
Certainly, there has been a cascading effect after the loss of Hillary Clinton, but this seems to be a new level because of the allegations of Harvey Weinstein, because of the sort of tipping point and the awareness that people.
Answer is to that. I mean, this is the reddest of to be a danger sign for Republicans writ large. To women voters.
Well, what I would say to that is it's kind of like Scott Brown in 2009. And this seat is only going to be held up through 2020. I do think a Republican. But I want to say this.
But